All right, lovely people. We are looking, Wendy and I are here to look at the work of the spheres, and we're looking at your shapes for the week that are based on your egg beater, and hopefully seeing some good process shots. You can, yep. Oh, good, thank you. Abstract, reference, beautiful. And 5 different solutions to this. These are really great. Again, the idea of sketching, this is exactly what we are hoping that you do. It can be very rough. You're just thinking, you're looking at the shapes, etc. So love this idea, working on a concept of disappearing planes. Great, going beyond the square. My goodness, I'm impressed. Such order. Nice. I did not have the black paper, so painted the Bristol with Sumi. Fantastic. Brilliant. So I think as we look through yours, I would say they all have a similar scale. They all feel very much part of this 5-inch zone. And so, yeah, if you want to just kind of scroll through all of them as I talk about this, they're all very much, in a way, they're very, very similar. And so I think I would encourage having something that just feels you're using the space differently. Yeah, those two really felt the same. This one feels a lot like the first one in terms of just the type of line, the type of mark that you're using. So overall, I would say I would encourage, and I see that you mentioned a limitation of materials, because it does feel that way. It feels like they're a little precious. So having said that, we'll start back to the beginning. And I thought that the white lines are doing very little for this. They're basically just an outline on the piece. And I think this one is much stronger. But for something like this, I think you could do a lot more with the positive and negative and scale and perspective of this, because it feels just sort of like it's a centered, like a centered floral shape in a way, right in the center of the page. I'd love to see more, even with this limited number of pieces, cutting more of them out, or cutting something, in the negative space around, like in a circle. Can you take your cursor and kind of show what I'm saying? Like within that black, if you can imagine circling around.
Like here, you mean?
But in the black, within the black, like, yeah, take your cursor and go, exactly. Now do a circle, but in the black.
Like here?
Well, go slower. Yeah. Yeah. Like, yes. Now take that and go. Yeah, exactly. So imagine cutting through that to reveal white, so that we, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that we feel that resonance. That's what I would say with this. And then again, I think the white pencil isn't doing anything for you in the next one. This one I thought was one of the most dynamic of your suite. I love the angularity of it. I love this, there's just a lot more interplay of shape. And I think without the white pencil is plenty strong without the, yeah, I think it's terrific without the white pencil.
Yeah, me too. This was my favorite for sure.
Yeah, by far. Yeah, and I again, I appreciated your approach about the, thinking about the mat, like in this case, something being spun off the beater. but I just think from a composition standpoint, it's like the upper left piece feels really wacko. Yeah, it feels like, huh, what is it doing there? And
Yeah, it feels like an
it
accident almost.
yeah, and it says like this is the scraps, but their other pieces do not feel like scraps at all. They feel incredibly intentional.
Yeah.
So yeah, I didn't quite understand this one as much. And then the next one, I think is the
Oh,
same, just with, yeah, again, I understand your thinking, but if in terms of a composition, I think you could do a lot more. And a lot of it has to do, again, I'm going to keep saying it, what's happening with the negative space? How are you treating those black orbs? Yeah, and all that white space that Wendy's showing there, like it feels too much like a big void.
mhm.
This next one, I think, also is a curious solution to the, the idea of the egg beater, but I think it also has the most strength. It's still not resolved with the negative space in the center. They're really clinging to the edges. But I think this one, I think the line quality is very good. I think the craft is really nice. And I sense more of an intentional composition. I just wish maybe they were a little closer, or, maybe one of them is turned the other way, something.
Yeah. This almost just feels like a huge white shape.
Yeah. Yeah, and again, I don't think the white is helping at all. So it just seems like overall they're a little bit timid, and they're a little delicate in how you're filling the space. And also keep in mind, it's tricky to have a series that feels cohesive, but yet doesn't feel like you're doing the same thing. And so I think these are bouncing on that line of they're pretty similar. And I would just encourage you to fill the space differently. And also just to think, you can go to the next. You can think about,
That's the last one. Thanks.
yeah, I meant next person.
Oh.
And even some of your sketches, I think, start to have more of a relationship about what's going on in the page, but I would encourage more experimentation. But it does appear that you had the limitation of materials. Okay, so here we have Julia, great sketches. Right off the bat here, Travis, if you're still listening, just seeing how these beaters on this particular page, how she's really filling that space. And maybe even going off the space as we scroll through her sketches. And this also, nice. All of a sudden now, what happens when these are on an angle? So you're angling them. Great. Again, these were probably done very quickly. That's all you need to do. You're just getting the ideas down, positive and negative, the whisk plus the gear. And then here we are, the collage brought to life. Love the process shots. Egg beater only, simplicity of each round metal shape. Again, on this, you're going to hear me say this repeatedly. Can you go back one? The things that touch the edge on the left, you'll see that your mat touches right there. And then the next piece, it isn't touching, really annoyingly. And then on the bottom middle, yeah, it's like, it feels like, it just got cut off awkwardly. And the other thing I would say on this one, if you look at where all the black beater parts come together in the center, like that heavy black area, yeah, I would say consider cutting. I can see two diamond shapes right now. That's the negative shape. What happens if you cut into that black shape more and reveal something else, whether it's a round shape, another diamond shape, but where the play of positive negative could really be enhanced in that one little moment, just to think about. And this one feels really heavy on the black, and also touches the edges very awkwardly most of the time. I'm very smitten with your curly gear piece, and I'd love to see like that, something like that show up again. There's no reason you can't cut through those big heavy black shapes to have them have less weight.
Yeah, these are just too overpowering right now. They're like
Yeah.
two big blobs. 3 even.
And this is positive negative interplay. Definitely feeling that very nicely. Love to see this unmatted, because, you know, I keep saying this, but things just touch awkwardly. This is quite lovely. This is your Scrippity Scraps. Had a lot of scraps left over. I think for me, I would say for the Scrippity Scraps, one of my hopes was that it was still very much abstracted, and that you were coming up with something completely different by just looking at your scraps. So this is absolutely lovely. We absolutely understand it's an egg beater, don't get me wrong, but I would love to see something that felt less controlled, something that you're literally like, you know, you're looking at like the holes of this paper rather than the paper, or you're looking at something that's just awkward and recombining it. So that is something that I would encourage for the Scrippity Scraps. And believe me, you have nice Scrippity Scraps. So this is the wild card. And this one, so here's the difference between this one and the one that we both said was quite blobby. It's the white line. Yeah, like that versus that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think what I love about this, first of all, I feel like these are tulips being combined here. But what I love about this, again, look at the white space. And Travis, this is also helpful for you to see. If you could take your cursor to the white, not the lines, but the negative space of the collage. Yeah. Look at that shape versus just a big open piece. So even that shape becomes interesting. And I'm sorry, I forget who was using the black border on theirs. That might even help accentuate that. But I'm very aware of even the tension between those two big tulips because of that narrow passageway. So that space is really activated in a beautiful way. Wendy, thoughts? Sorry.
Yeah, I mean,
there.
I completely agree that I can, like, for this one, we can at least assume that they're tulips or like any sort of shape, versus the other one that we were talking about, where it's just like you're not even like visually interested in guessing what it is because it's too overpowering.
Yeah.
But like you were saying, like allowing like the negative space to form its own shape, and then even just like these very simple lines just help you a lot to guide you through.
And there's one more thing on this one that I would point out in the upper right corner, right there. Again, that really annoying little area where it's just,
Yeah.
and then another thing you might consider on these, Julia, is on one of these shapes, say the one where Wendy's cursor is right now, on that particular shape, one of those white lines just being thicker so that we feel a different scale of these two shapes. That's another way to think about adding a little bit more visual variety. But what I appreciate about this is it's so different from your others. And it also is, it's just like bold, confident abstraction of the shape. Okay, so that is Julia. And the next of our spheres will be Rita. I'm fascinated by this first image here. Paper
Wow.
snowflakes. Wow. Nice. Beautiful photo. Nice.
Mhm.
Love your thinking. Love the idea of the snowflakes. So this is the focusing in on the whisk. And what I appreciate about this is how each one of these is like a different treatment of the whisk shape. So it's also something I haven't seen before in terms of, you know, showing it different ways within one composition. Nice shot. Scrippity scraps in development. So for this one, I'm gonna wish it weren't so representational and also so centered. It feels like a plant in a pot.
Yeah.
It's stunning, and obviously your craft is quite lovely. I don't see any gluing issues. I don't see any, you know, the photo is really crisp and clean, but I would love to see, again, more of a sense of here are these truly these scraps, which I understand that these are, but how do you use them in a way that's different than the egg beater or different than something representational? Even though it's clearly abstracted from something, don't get me wrong, I get it. And then she's adding a little bit of the white pencil. Really changed it a lot. This is round. I think for me, for this one, I would say I'd like to see, again, maybe more interplay of positive and negative, or even these two, you know, spirals, which is a form we've all seen many times. All of these shapes are very common to us as a viewer. But what can you do to them to have them take on more of a unique quality? And I think what I would encourage is an intersection of something, or somewhere where, yeah, something where they touch, but you cut out the white so that it's not as, you know, it's a very recognizable shape.
Predictable.
Yeah. This is not predictable.
Yeah.
This is a visual surprise. Wow. It feels digital. Oh, it says Procreate Sketch. I'm like, whoa, it feels too
Oh
perfect.
yeah. Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
like,
it
that
says,
looks like a drawing.
yes. This is great. No, it's great to see how you approached it. Yeah, it's terrific. What a surprise after what we just were talking about. And then this is your version of it with cut paper. Terrific. This is really lovely. I would say the white half gets very lost. It's the limitation of the Bristol. And as we've seen, again, I apologize who was doing the black border, but something that might define that right-hand side might help a little bit, or just removing the white mat on top of it, but really lovely.
Yeah, I love seeing the jump from this to that.
Yeah. Same, really nice. Again, these Procreate sketches, really terrific. Whoa, paper cuts and collage. What's the difference? No, no, this is great. This is an interesting point that you make, Rita. No, collage absolutely does not mean that pieces have to touch. Collage is a derivative of the word coller, which means to glue. So I always encourage people to try not having pieces touch. No, I think it's really quite wonderful, and almost like a piece of, you know, a manual of design. So no, I think it's terrific. She asked what kind of glue stick. Absolutely don't use Blick glue stick. I would always use Yoo-Hoo, Blick Essentials, thumbs down, Elmer's the worst,
The worst.
CVS the worst, CVS, forget it. So get yourself some. Oh, Emily says I am using Yoo-Hoo. Also, I see Emily comments, I think the black paper is not helping the smudging. If I were doing this, and I've done a lot with this cut black paper myself, trust me, I always have a damp paper towel as I'm working. So once my hands start to get goopy and smudgy, you know, I don't have to get up and run to the sink because it suddenly seems like it's 2 miles away, but just clean your hands. But this looks great. No, I think this is terrific. So again, Rita, thank you for your process and including the snowflake idea in the beginning. Really fun to see. Look at this opening photo. You had, wait, where did it go?
I don't know. I want to see it too.
Maybe it just shows up on their, oh, there it is. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. What a terrific, terrific photo. Oh, look at that, positive, negative. I love it.
Oh my gosh.
Points for that. Okay, so we're looking at Jessica's. Loving seeing your sketches. And that's all they have to be. This is exactly what I'm asking of you. An abstraction, there's your whisk, there's circular pieces, done. Beautiful. And this is, whenever I tossed, that came out much more interest to me. Okay, so I'm not sure if this is the finished one. It doesn't, just because of the lines in the background and the mat seems upside down. But without all of that, I think it's terrific. Yeah. Breaking down the shapes, absolutely. That's all you need to do. Knobs and the wheel, definitely. The round. Also very nice to read, just moving the paper around to get a circle. Also keep in mind, for all of you, tiny circles are very challenging. Yeah, don't try and cut them out. Don't try to cut the perfect circle. Just don't. That's pretty nice though.
Mhm.
Or use a hole punch. People do that.
Yeah, hole punchers. This makes me very happy.
I know. We could just stop right here. It's beautiful.
Aw.
Everything about it. Wow. That's so nice. Nice. Beautiful. Oh, nice. Scrippity scraps. So these are all still process. Wow. Very nice. This does not feel like scrippity scraps. This feels really
No. Yeah.
quite lovely. Loving the contrast of the two gear shapes, that little one poking out. Really dynamic.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
could be a poster if you.
Right? Yeah. Beautiful. This is, I think this is still in process, so it's not a finished piece. I'm guessing this is finished. Again, I just feel like I would probably lose that one little piece that's sort of floating in the air. Yeah. And then I would probably encourage you to do something more with those two solid black shapes, like cut into them, cut something that, you know, it doesn't have to be the circle of the gear, cut a half moon or cut the thing in. Yeah, exactly. Wendy's showing you any of those things. But yeah, I'd get rid of that little piece personally. This is the close-up of the beater. Again, I think what I love about this is the way it's filling the space, but you've heard me say this before, be careful of all the corners. So this is the negative space. She's got this little character. Oh, I see. It depends on how you look at it. Like I was looking, now I see it. Somebody's saying it's a mask. Yeah, this is one that I think is stunning in its simplicity, but I would lose the border completely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we really feel it because what a great use of the negative space. There's the dogs.
Love
I,
that.
lo- I love it.
Mm.
I just think that, first of all, I just appreciate that you saw that and you were able to take that photo. And I think this is really terrific. And your comment here is, again, this doesn't relate to the egg beater at all anymore. So it's more than a wild card. It's a wild, wild, wild card.
Yeah.
But you say, I think maybe I'm just being chicken about adding something to this. I just think you should actually do this just on a larger scale and probably allow yourself more horizontality. If 5x5 is too small for this, but no, I love it. And I love that you saw that. It's great. What do you think, Wendy?
I mean, after seeing this one and then I see this one, it kind of, maybe it's a long shot, but I keep thinking it's like a dog's face or something, and this is doing like, or something like that. But if I saw this by itself, I feel like the shapes are floating a little bit, especially this one. And
Yeah,
then maybe the way that these are touching, it's kind of awkward over here. Um, so yeah, again, like maybe cutting into this shape would help, or shifting the scale between all the circles because they're kind of the same size.
yeah, I agree with all of you, all of it you said. I also equally felt like sort of this playfulness that came through back starting at the mask. Even there, all of a sudden I
Mm,
feel like, Jessica, you had this little, like, there's this playful character that shows up both in the positive and negative. Then you're playing around with your dog picture, and then this next one does feel like this, like, playful face. So for
mm,
me, I just sense something happened in a really good way. And now it's a matter of, like, yeah, how do you position these, and is the mat helping this, or could you do something that's just round? And could you emphasize, like, it could be a face or something, because it does have this wonderful glimmer of a playful quality to it. And this was the Scrippity Scraps. I still feel like you're trying to illustrate something.
mm.
Oh, you are. It says beater landscape. I would encourage you not to, and that's difficult. Go to the next one. I think it's the same thing, but just slightly different photo. Oh, with white pencil. That really changes it. That really feels like an illustration for something, which is fine. But again, I think it puts too much pressure on you to think that you have to be illustrating something or representing something. But really, just for this whole assignment, and this goes for everyone, because even the mask is illustrating something. Think about just shapes. That's all it is. You don't have to render anything. Look at the work of Matisse, look at the artists that I showed you, and think about how are they just using shape. Even Wendy, can you just go to the home page for this week? If you click on, yeah, shape, look at this thing. What is that? It's an album cover, but it's it's shapes. That's all it is. And so, it's not trying to illustrate anything, except maybe music. But anyway, keep that in mind, all of you, that it can literally be as simple as just shapes. You're not trying to it puts more pressure on you to have to draw something or represent something. I think it's the same. Yeah, you can go back to the next person. It's the same thing where I had said about where we felt that one felt like a plant that was potted, and that's great. But I really just wanted an exploration in abstraction, and you'll see it frees you. It makes the workload hopefully lighter. So loving this overhead shot of all these pieces. This is Emily, and so we will take us through your series. I can see a lot of these probably don't need mats at all. Um, Sketchbook, what's on the screen? That's fascinating. Enlarged, round, positive, negative. Yeah, up on the wall.
Yeah. It looks like a bunch of logos.
Yeah, it's cool. Anyway, that's why we like process. And you have an actual egg beater, which we love. Yeah, great sketching. So Emily is in collage and design, and she had to do egg beater in that class too. So sorry. Nice. Such clean cutting. How is this possible?
It's so clean.
Wow.
It feels like the shapes are like lively, like put into that black box that like transforms them into white. Like the craftsmanship is so good that you can't even tell they're like
It's crazy.
cut out.
Wow. It's mesmerizing.
Mhm.
That reminds me of the Sonia Delaunay, which I maybe recommended to you all. I don't know for sure. Yeah, look at this. This is what's also nice about this is to have these two completely different shapes in the one collage.
Sorry, can you hear the siren? There's like a siren going on. Okay.
Yeah. This is your wild card. Wow. And this is Scrippity Scraps with white. I feel this is such a nice use of the white on here, and it's hard to tell. Like, is it just one black piece with two cutouts in it? I mean, it's remarkable.
I love where it overlaps here and
Yeah,
here.
same. It's mesmerizing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think for me, that one is the least dynamic. It's because it's all stuck in this square, whereas the other ones you clearly went well beyond the square. But this one just feels too tidy and meh.
Yeah, it just doesn't like knowing that you played so much with these. This one, it's sort of like what happened.
Yeah. Yeah, but anyway, a really strong, sweet, and again, as always, great process shots. Yeah, really terrific. I have to say, I'm very fond of what you were doing with the white lines. What? Finished with a group?
Finished.
All right, lovely spheres. Why is that so hard to say? Again, thank you for remarkable work this week. It's a lot for us to look at, but really joyful, and your time commitment is obvious. And keep those process shots coming. It helps everyone. Really nice.